Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from BBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is in the playlist called Math Using SQL, Mathematics, and here we'll learn about the SUM function in SQL. SUM, SUM, is a mathematical function as well as an aggregate function. In primary school, elementary school, grade school, we learned that SUM is the result of adding two or more addends. Remember that SUM is a number function, so we should use it on on number values, or on table columns with number data type. So without a SUM function, this is how we will get the sum of some numeric values or number values. Okay, so if you've been watching some of my previous videos, especially in Oracle, you might have encountered already the table called dual. Okay, so I won't delve on that. We use dual, of course, to do some processing which are not necessarily using data from a table. So here I will be showing you what the world would look like, or what doing it would look like if you don't have a sum function in SQL. Let's say we wanted to get the sum of these numbers 1, 2, 5, 20, 0, and 9. So like a calculator, you will put them alongside each other and then joined by the plus operator, and then you will do a sum, select sum of this. So it does its thing, it does the computation of getting the sum of all this, but it is very tedious. If you can imagine, if you'll be adding 1,000 such values or even 100,000 of such values, then it would be a lot of work just to string them together and join them with the plus operator. It will be a lot of work, isn't it? So with the help of the SUM function, which is an aggregate function in SQL, we can simplify the computation of sum. Okay, let's look at the structure of a table called $Qs. So as you know, in Oracle, we use the command desc, short for describe, to look at the table structure, Example, this one, you can just execute this, desc, and then the table name. The table name in this case is $_Qs. So I will describe this and it will show me the table structure. Okay. Another way, if you're using SQL developer, such as what I'm doing now in this video, then you can just put your cursor anywhere in the table name and then do a Shift F4, and it will also give you the table structure, which is more user-friendly, and you can copy this and paste it to a spreadsheet like Excel. Okay, so the point of doing a describe, as I mentioned, is to look at the table structure of this table, $Qs, and in particular, I wanted you to focus on the columns which are of number data type, because that's where we will be using the SUM function. Okay, so for this illustration, for this video, we'll be looking at the column called usage, which is in here, and we can see that its data type is number. Okay, so I'll remove this now and move this, and then I can just stretch this back a bigger size. Okay, something like this, right? So we have seen that the column called usage has a number data type. Now let's look at the values of that table, especially the column usage. So select, then I'm specifying the column names instead of doing an asterisk. I like to select or query the values of two columns, Q comment and usage, from the table $Qs. Execute this, and then we see that these are the values of Q comment. The Q comment column is of a data type varchar2 or character, while the usage column is of a number data type. Now we are more interested in the usage column because it's of a number data type, and this is where we'll be using the SUM function. Okay, so now that we have seen that the values of usage are actually real numbers, so we see values like 0, 1, and we see a couple of we see a 2, 0. Those are the values we see, but these are number values, and we've already seen that the table structure of this, it shows that the column usage is number. Now let's use the SUM function on this table, but first Let's look at the sum function. The syntax of the sum function is this. Being a function, it comes with a pair of parentheses, and then inside that, the parameter you'll be passing will be the column name. Okay, whatever is the column name of the table, you will put it inside the parentheses, which follows the sum function. And that is, you're telling SQL to compute or to get the sum of this column name, meaning the sum of all the values of this column name. And if you have a work condition, then you can also add that. Okay, so let's look at an example. This is the syntax. So select sum, usage being the column name that I'm interested in getting the sum of, as is just the alias, and then from $AQ Qs without any work condition. So for all the records, I want SQL to get the sum, the total of the number values of the column called usage. Okay, it's displayed here. So the sum usage is just the alias I've given it here. It's just a nickname for the pseudo column that will be created by this expression over here. So do you see the difference? What I mean is, if you remember the query I have just run previously, it's so much different from what you're seeing now. So I will paste it again here. This was the original query. So select, no, let me just get this one. So this was the original query. And this will return, you see, select Q comment usage from AQ $Qs. It gives me 26 rows, it shows here, and I can also right click and do a count rows. It will tell me it's 26 rows. So this one gives me 26 rows, right? Okay. Whereas the second query, which is a sum without any where condition, it's a sum from the same table. It's a sum on the column called usage. It gives me what? One row or one record, right? So that is one thing you should highlight. I mean, take note of in case you're new to the concept of aggregate functions, then you should take note of this. Whereas in the original query, we managed to pull or get 26 rows of data. In the second one, wherein we're doing a summation, an aggregation, using the sum function on the usage column, we're only getting one. That is because the SQL is, what it's doing is it's totaling, it's computing the total of the values, sum of the values of the column called usage. And it's giving just one value. This is 15. Okay, that means if we run this query again, what SQL is doing is getting a total of all these values in here. So that's why it's only displaying one, and that's the value of 15. So you see that's the basic difference of using a summation, aggregate function such as sum. Okay. Now, remember that sum is a number function. Remember that. So let's see what happens when we try to use that function on a non-numeric column. Okay, so we will look at this. Select sum. This is a column name, Q comment, as sum. This is just an alias, sum Q comment from the same table without any where condition. See what happens. You get an error. It says invalid number, and it's pointing to this column which I have specified within the sum function, because the sum function is a number function. It is expecting a parameter of a number value, either a hard-coded value or a column with a number data type, or an expression that will evaluate into a number. But in this case, I have intentionally used a column which has a data type of varchar2, which is another number, just to make you see this error. In doing so, you will learn what you can avoid. Remember that sum is a number function. This is the very basic. So you pass only a number value, expression, or column with a number data type to it inside the parentheses. Okay. So in this video, I will not confuse you by introducing the group by clause because it will complicate things for somebody who is just learning the concept of the sum function now. But if you recall, this query returned the sum of a sum value of 15. Select sum usage as the alias from the table name AQ$Qs. Let's see. So it gives me the value of 15. Sum equals 15. Okay. Now, if I query with Q comment equals a certain value, I'm just familiar with the data because I did some preparation on this one. But look at this query I am pasting here. Okay, so this, if I run this, select sum usage as sum usage from AQ$Qs where Q comment equals exception Q. Now here, the difference is I'm adding this where condition. Okay, so this will potentially return less records than the first one, potentially. It could be the same, it could be the same 15 records if this condition is being met. It's true, if it values to true. Otherwise, it could be less. Okay, let's see. So you can see the sum is 13. Here, the sum is 13. Here, the sum is 15. Okay, so without the where condition, I'm getting more as expected. But with the where condition, with the where clause here being added to the same SQL query, I'm getting less. It's because that means 13 records. I mean, for some records, the total for those records having a Q comment of exception Q, the sum is 13. Okay, so let's get the rest of the data set. Okay, I will do something like this. So select sum usage, the same thing from the same table, but I'm using a different where condition where Q comment is null. Never mind, you don't bother yourself with the where condition. I'm just showing you that when you use the sum function and then you use a where clause to that select statement, it may give you a different sum as when without the where condition. Okay, here with this where condition added here, we get a sum of 13. Look at if I run this third query, gives me a sum of 2. Okay, sum equals 2. If you notice, 15 is 13 plus 2. I'm just familiar with the data. If you have, if I will do a select asterisk or a select all the values of Q comment, then I have seen that 13 of them are have this Q comment value of exception Q, while I mean the sum of those with the Q comment of this is 13, sum of the usage. Okay, so anyway, in this video we learn about the aggregate function called sum. So as you've seen in the earlier example, you can use sum to sum up the values of the number values, which could be hard-coded values or column specifying a column with a number data type. And remember that sum can only be used on a number function. When we tried using a sum on a non-numeric function, it gave the error invalid number. Okay, now you can, for now, you may not trouble yourself with the where condition, but just remember that sum function is used on a number value or on a column which is of a number data type. And if you don't have a where condition, what we'll do is it will sum up the values of that column and will give you one row. Okay, even if you had a where condition, it may still give you one row. It will still give you one row, but the value could be less than this because of the where condition, which filters out certain using condition that filters out some data. Okay, thank you for watching and thank you for listening to this one. And we hope that you've enjoyed and learned something from this one. The sum function is a number function. is an aggregate function also used in statistics. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.